Hi there, I am the CRM Ninja, and tonight I am launching a new series. We're going to be running an AMA and Ask Me Anything. But I am not going to be kicking off this show as the host. Instead, I am willingly putting myself in the guest seat, which is why my background is of my own brand, because, of course, I am the CRM Ninja. And I have asked people to submit questions in that our fantastic guest host is going to ask me. So with that, I'm going to relax back in this guest chair and I'm going to hand over to the fantastic host who will introduce himself. Go for it.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm Michael. You may know me from shows like Twitter or LinkedIn, where I talked about Power Platform governance and stuff. And yeah, as Iwa just said, I have the fantastic opportunity to put him on the hot seat. And I think many of you have been on this show, the Oops Factor, where usually he is asking the question about your biggest oops moment, about your hobbies, about your life, to get to know you offsite social media and events. So now we turn the tables around and Iwo will be in the hot seat. And I'm very happy to have the opportunity and to be the first guest host to start this off. And we, as he just said, we collected some questions from you to him. And I'm really, really interested to see what do you say. And I would like
I'm starting to feel worried here, Michael.
No. Nothing here is scripted. I just want to say this is very spontaneous, and he doesn't know nothing about the questions. So I distracted him with some questions in the beginning. Okay. And I would like to start actually with one of my favorite questions. And this is around your background, your brand, and your show, the CRM Ninja. I do get where the CRM part comes from. What about the ninja part? Are you secretly a ninja? And are you allowed to talk about it?
Well, if I were secretly a ninja, I potentially couldn't tell you about it anyway. Or I could tell you, but then we might just disappear into the shadows somewhere. So why the ninja? Well, there are a couple of things that sort of segmented together for this. In fact, when I started off on social media, I even recorded a video. I think it's the first video on my YouTube channel as to why I am the CRM Ninja. So I have had over the years, I continue to have an interest in different martial arts, and there are various conventional martial arts, of course, karate, jiu-jitsu, etc. But I was always drawn to something a bit different, the sort of the samurai code, but not as a samurai warrior. And ninjutsu, which is a martial art, albeit a more quiet martial art, it's not practiced very openly, it's something that always really interested me. So there was that. Plus, I have a motorbike. Lots of people know I have a motorbike. I've done stuff with the motorbike in social media over time. And it's a Kawasaki Ninja motorbike. I ride a Ninja. So I thought, I like ninjutsu. I ride a Ninja motorbike. By the way, just for any Microsofties out there, I'm more than happy. We can talk about upgrading my Ninja motorbike and putting Microsoft decals on the side. I'm very open to sponsorship for that idea. I did mention it like a couple of years ago. It didn't really get traction then, but now a bit more well known. Hit me up and we can talk about sponsorship opportunities throughout London. But I thought, look, let's put this together. Be the CRM Ninja. It's catchy, it sticks. And of course, I got a really cool logo and video animation for it as well. Ninja riding a motorbike. So here we are, the CRM Ninja.
That's pretty cool. So, okay, yes, you all heard it. Sponsorship opportunities are available. You want to write basically a Microsoft Ninja. I got this. This is cool.
Why not?
And I really like this. I really like the background in martial arts. But did you really practice martial arts? So
I've dabbled in some over the years. I have dabbled in a couple over the years, not ninjutsu, unfortunately, because here in the UK it's very difficult to learn it. But I have dabbled in a couple. But it's sort of the code of the warrior, which has always interested me. Being, looking after family, looking after community, ensuring that any threats are appropriately dealt with, and of course, as I'm sure there are going to be questions around here, the weaponry involved, because as lots of people know, I am decently into weaponry, and I go visit various weaponry shows at times.
That's cool. But before we come to the weapons, I do have something else, because you said you mentioned the code, and I always thought it's fascinating about martial arts. Actually, that is a lot about the mentality and the spiritual way that you go. I think rather more than about the physical stuff. Is it?
Yes, there is that as well. In Eastern culture, of course, there is the concept of yin and yang,
Mhm.
and that translates, into things like, physical and mental. If you're mentally very busy, sometimes it helps a lot to get up and take a walk around. You balance it out. I do believe in that concept for it, and the state of calmness of mind and preparation for it. So it's not just about, yeah, we've got swords, let's run around with swords and let's do things like that and climb up 40-foot walls with ropes and things like that, but it's about that inner balance that you need in order to have that in place. So yeah, that does very much appeal to me.
It's like the balance of the inside and the outside, the
Yep.
motorbike on the outside and the inside, handling weapons and knives and pans, for example, because I know you are in your kitchen a lot. Or at least I see a lot of social media content from you in your kitchen, and it always looks delicious. So let's talk about kitchen weapons. And I don't mean knives in particularly, but you spend a lot of time in your kitchen. Is that true? Are you the
I
chef of
spend
the
some I
household?
spend some time in my kitchen. I put it out on social media because I like to be able to show some of the other stuff I get up to, and people love food. So that's a good segue there. But and of course, cooking does require knives. Every chef knows a good knife, a very sharp good knife, is vitally important. Um, Never put in the dishwasher. Please just don't put them in the dishwasher. Wash it by hand, dry them up. But it's very important in terms of cooking. But I do enjoy cooking. I find it very cathartic and relaxing at times to get in there, follow recipes, sometimes come up with my own thing and enjoy sharing it with others, friends who come around and such.
Okay, that's cool. Actually, I was working in the gastronomy sector for over 10 years, so I know my way around the kitchen a little bit. And one important question that I've talked to a lot of chefs to is cooking or eating
Um,
for you?
Cooking, I'm good with. Eating, I am good with as well. I don't like the washing up. Clearing up afterwards. That's the bit that I don't like.
That is the yin and the yang of the kitchen, right?
Yes,
Preparing, eating, and then
there's the prep, the clearing up, and those all pivot around the center, which is obviously the eating. Yeah, I clear up as needed, shall I say?
Okay, I think the next AMA session should be with your wife then, but that's for the next episode. Um, so, what's your favorite thing to cook? One of the submitted questions.
So it's not actually technically cooking. I mean, it's in sort of the broad process of cooking. I have a very decent barbecue with a smoke box. I deliberately got it. It was a birthday present from my wife. She complains that she doesn't really know my interests. So over the course of 4 or 5 years, she kitted me out with every single piece of barbecue equipment and barbecue book and apron and tools you can imagine, including a barbecue. And I love, I don't do it often enough, unfortunately, but smoking briskets and other stuff like rib roasts, rib racks. So racks of ribs and the whole rib joint as well. I've done some of those, and I've done turkey and other stuff as well, but generally it stays in the beef section and occasionally some sausages. It takes patience. It's between 12 to 18 hours on
Oh, that's a
average,
lot of
depending on the
patience.
site. It is, but although very traditional, I do it with wood and some charcoal. I don't do it with gas at all. I have teched it up, use technology. I have probes which are connected to my Wi-Fi on my phone, which sense the temperature of the meat, the temperature of the actual fire, how much smoke is coming in and out. I have fans to drive air input as needed to keep the temperature steady. So it's something I really like doing. It really feels connecting with, basic cooking in some ways. It's meat. Admittedly, there's a bit of rub on it, but it's meat and it's wood for fire. You can't really get any more basic than that.
I see. And I swear, I really would love to dive into recipes and all this stuff right now, but I think that's would be the wrong direction here. And I swear, this is the last cooking kitchen related question: is who cleans the barbecue?
I clean the barbecue.
Aha, I got that. Okay.
Barbecue is my baby. my baby.
Okay, that's good. We do have more questions, and there's one question that came particularly often, actually, and that is something between kitchen and between the Ninja. That is, and you mentioned it, that is the weapons of the Ninja. That is the knives. I think most people know that you love knives and that you have quite a lot.
Yes.
Would you like to tell a little bit about that?
So at a young age, when I got interested in martial arts and also interested in military and interested in, obviously, I'll term them the accessories, obviously the various tools that are used, weapons in various ways. Um, I've had an interest in that for well over 2 decades now, 2.5 decades or so. And as I mentioned earlier, I go to shows which show all the latest and greatest stuff because I find it quite cool to walk around and I know enough about it and get to sometimes test some of these things out in very restricted conditions. Um, Knives are something in the UK, obviously gun laws are very strict. Plus I have kids around. Knives are something I can own legally. And I picked up some very nice knives over the years. One of the best ones, I think, is a titanium diver's knife, which doesn't corrode or anything else and is so light it is unbelievable. I use it for opening my mail, amongst other stuff. But it segues into the kitchen because, as I mentioned, I know good knives are very important to cooks, and I was very lucky actually to win a competition some years ago, and I got a complete set of Wusthof knives. For people who don't know Wusthof, feel free to go look at it. But I have a set of, I think, 11 Wusthof different knives, and they are unbelievably amazing. So I just enjoy them. I used to throw knives occasionally at target throwing and things. It was just I find it quite interesting to see. And one thing that I would really love to do is actually create my own knife from raw steel one day, go through the whole forging. It goes back to the warrior concept. Traditionally, legend goes that samurais would create their own blades from cold iron and just hitting it. They wouldn't even light the fire. They would hit it with a hammer until it heated up enough to light the fire, and then folding it and refolding it and refolding it and going to Damascus steel and thousands of really, really small layers to build the blade. The beauty of that and just that physical process, again, being very cathartic, I think. So that is a dream of myself, of mine, one day to actually go ahead and forge my own blade.
I can absolutely see you do that, because that somehow that kind of relates me to the barbecue, because you need patience for that. You'll probably wear an apron as well, and you come back to the basics again, like steel and fire. These are the basics.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool. But actually, I know that you are not the only ninja in your office. There's one more. At least one more. I don't know how sneaky your kids are, but
there are always ninjas around watching you. You don't always see them. There is indeed a ninja. So although you can't see it on my video, I have a Ninjago. It's Lloyd, who was gifted to me by the one and only Chris Huntingford, who is a dear friend and mentor of mine. Incidentally, I will take credit when he changed his Twitter handle from Tattooed CRM Guy to That Platform Guy. That was because I had told him some stuff and he went, "Oh, I got to change my Twitter handle." I'm taking credit for this publicly, Chris. You know it is true. But he sent it to me, and he's a good friend and I like ninjas. So it's always there as a reminder that, he's somewhat close and ninjas and such. And Lloyd joins me on call sometimes, more closer to the camera.
Actually, I've seen him on a couple of calls now, on a couple of official calls as well.
Yeah.
So that's what he do. Joins you on calls, gives you like mental support, not opening your mails because he's not allowed with a knife.
Yeah. My kids are very envious. I get asked occasionally if they can play with Lloyd, and the answer is unfortunately no.
Oh, that's harsh. Are you a strict parent?
It depends what with. My wife would say I'm stricter than her in a lot of ways, but yeah, we have different types of upbringings, shall I say? And I think let's leave it at that.
Okay, we will leave it at that. Now, I have the question that I'm more or less not building up to, but that comes from it's burning on my nails, and I wanted to ask this for a long time now. So, what is your biggest oops moment? Because I know you have quite of a history of tech. You're well known in the world of tech, so I'm pretty sure you screwed up at one point, or let's say had an oops moment.
So I was wondering if this question was coming along or not. My biggest tech oops moment was when I was much more junior with CRM on premise, and we had deployed to the customer, and they were running a server farm. In fact, their server farm was so unbelievable. It was the mid 2000s, and this thing was specced up. It was crazy. It was a lovely room to be in. I wish I could have done LAN parties. We were running a production system, and we were running a UAT system. And I had been assured, including by my technical director, that they were absolutely and totally separate. I had been in, I don't know, a year in terms of technology and CRM and stuff. I knew my way around to a point. I mean, I was supporting the thing. But I needed to apply an update. And if you remember dimly, for those who know Dynamics 365 in the day, or Dynamics CRM as it was in the days of 4.0, I started in 3.0 and 4.0 on-premise SQL Server, you had to apply various SQL Server updates. So I went to apply an update to the UAT system. And I gave it the server address and everything else I needed, and I clicked go. And you can't stop it once it goes. It takes 40 minutes to install, then it needs to reboot a couple of times. And about 10 seconds after I hit go, there was suddenly, let's just say that the operations room in that particular customer suddenly went wild, that they couldn't do anything. And the long and short of it was the server farm for the SQL database was actually the same server farm. It wasn't a separate. They didn't have different instances, which I hadn't been told. My documentation said it was actually separate. I've been told it was separate. I brought down the entire operations for an organization which was decently large for about an hour and a half, because then they had to reboot the server farm, and then they had to make sure it came out properly, because it's not just a single server. It was quite a long, and this was in the morning on a Monday or Tuesday morning or so. It was a very long coffee break for people. Some appreciated it. Thankfully, nothing got damaged, but yeah, that was a sort of, oh, that should not have happened. No.
So what's your takeaway from this? What did you learn?
When dealing with on-premise databases, ensure that everything is actually separate. Of course, we don't deal with cloud databases, really, or we don't even deal with the databases. We just have, in the Power Platform, the surface layer exposed to us. But really double check, triple check, and ensure if you are deploying something, especially if it needs a reboot of something, nothing else is running on it and it is the right system. And have somebody else check it as well and get it signed off in writing by the responsible people, including IT.
That's a very good lesson. I would say never trust the documentation. Check it for yourself. But okay. So I think we are already at the end of the time. Thank you very much for all your answers. And thank you everybody out there for sending in your questions and your time. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have fun. And especially thank you for EY to be brave enough to put yourself on the hot seat this time.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it could be.
Yeah, he told me before actually that he's a little bit of nervous because it is something new. Yeah, so thank you for that. I really enjoyed it, and thanks for having me. And if you out there, guest host.
Sorry, guest host. Yeah,
be precisely here. And if all of you out there viewing, if you want to nominate someone to go through an AMA session with as a guest with EY, please click on the link shown in the description and nominate people from the community. I think this is a lot of fun. I really like the idea and the series. And thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you so much for hosting it. Have a marvelous day.